So I'm sitting here and I'm reading this story. People are so bored because of the COVID that they're buying plane tickets to ride on an airplane to nowhere, a flight to nowhere.
What's that mean?
Well, it's a flight where you take off and land at the same spot. It's almost like a little sightseeing. Australia, Qantas Airline is doing a flight to nowhere. It's a 7-hour sightseeing tour on one of their jets. They fly around. The flight sold out in 10 minutes. People paid over $2,700 for the tickets. To ride on an airplane, you have to wear your mask the whole time, unless you're eating or drinking. And it's like, why would you pay $27? I mean, are you really that bored? And it made me think about, what are people missing out on? Are people missing flying to places and going somewhere? Wouldn't you rather just fly somewhere and go somewhere and check out a city or go back to a city you like and just ride around in an airplane?
Sit on an airplane, unless I'm
with
on
a bunch of people? With
nobody, but to do it with a bunch of people, stupid. I can't believe that.
You got to wear a mask the whole time?
Well,
just to go sightseeing? I mean, and what can you see from 30,000 feet?
Not much. I try, like when they say, okay, now we're...
Yes, it's a mountain. If you fly up to Seattle, you can see Mount Rainier, you can see Mount Hood, see a little bit of Helens.
To the left of the plane, we're flying over the Grand Canyon. I've looked out over the left of the plane before and thought, because it's a hole in the ground, it's not really that...
I always end up by the wing, and then I look, and I can't see anything, because the damn wing's right there. I'm like, why do I always end up by the wing? I got to get to the front or the back.
It is cool when you fly from Portland to Seattle or vice versa. To fly by the mountains up there.
Oh yeah, you do.
Because the plane, because it's not that far of a distance, so the plane doesn't really get all that high. So you're kind of flying level with the
right over
with the
like Rainier. You look right over. Are you like, I can reach out and touch the top? I mean, we're right there. You can see the whole top, even if there's clouds.
That's a cool sightseeing flight. Is there any other cool sightseeing flights? I enjoy the San Francisco to San Luis flight because
I've only done it once and it was dark.
From a sightseeing standpoint, I like it because it's you can see, especially if you do it in spring, like the areas surrounding Paso Robles, the western flank of the Santa Lucias, I guess.
Yeah,
is what
I always know when I'm getting ready to land in San Luis, though, because you can see Morro Rock if you're on that side of the plane, or I can look down and see Lake Nacimiento. That's good, but it's amazing to me how small this place looks from the air because it feels a lot bigger than it. And you look down and you're like, wow, where is everything? And then all of a sudden, wow, okay, there it is. And how dry and brown it looks.
Well, it depends on the...
Of course, I just flew in it with summertime, but...
Depends on the time of year, for sure. Because if you do it in the spring, it's beautiful. If you had a rainy season, it looks like you're flying into Ireland.
Yeah, no, it's very green, very nice. Things that you're kind of missing out on that you haven't been able to do for... quite some time. 805-543-3693. I look at that SoFi Stadium they built down there for the Rams and the Chargers, and I'm thinking, damn, I would love to go to a game right now. Any kind of game. I mean, college game, professional game. You can't do that, obviously. No, there's no fans. I think that's what I miss the most. I think a lot of people are going to say concerts. I've been to a lot of concerts in my life. I don't know if I'm really missing concerts yet. Especially around here, where I swear, before this thing hit, we could go to a concert, whether big or small.
Call your shot.
Every day, there's some sort of live music somewhere.
Does this mean, though, that it's going to be... We're
spoiled. We're very spoiled.
We are so thirsty. I was reading some... Fred, the sponsor of our...
the Central Coast Realtor, Fred Bruin.
Yeah, he posted an article from the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and is like a lot of economists think that we're going to have a pretty good recovery when it comes to the economy from coronavirus. And is that just because we're thirsty? We're thirsty to do things because we've been trapped inside. So once we do get out, once we have the money,
yeah, I've been spending the money that I normally spend. I was saying that yesterday that we get a little extra money in the savings. I think when it's reopened, there's a good chance if you're not careful, you could blow through a lot of cash.
I think right now is probably the
boost
time
that economy.
The time to buy those low cost vacations. Because I feel like those low cost vacations are starting to creep up. One and two, they're not going to be on the shelf for much longer. Like it's the closeout on the low cost vacation.
But when do we book a vacation for? When is it? When do you feel it's safe to actually go ahead and invest a down payment or book a vacation?
A lot of the vacations that I'm seeing marketed online are like, they're good until late 2021 or even 2022.
So yeah, it's got to at least be 2021, right? I don't think it's a good idea to book any kind of major investment towards a vacation in 2020. Sorry, it sucks, but I don't know if normally in November.
Almost over. We're fine.
November is when I like.
Can't wait another 90 days.
My wife and I. That's when we take a little trip. And
take it next year
down to Mexico. We can't do it. I don't know if we can or not. I'll be honest with you. Well, I know we can't because she didn't update her passport. It's taking like 5 months to get a passport right now.
My wife tried to book a weekend trip to go see the colors change in Connecticut, and they had everything all.
That sounds lame.
Yeah, with her sister, they had everything outlined, right? And then they started going through the booking process and started looking into it. If you come from California to the northeastern states, it is a mandatory, as of right now, a mandatory 14-day quarantine.
Oh, really?
Means you have to stay there and be in this quarantine for 14 days before you can get out and do anything.
What, a tent? Or would they put me in a tent?
I don't know.
Down in a hole?
I was like,
get in the hole!
And that's what I
Californian?
told her. That's what I told her. I was like, well, who's going to enforce that? I mean, they don't have the infrastructure.
Tell her to go up to
that.
Washington State, where we grew up, on the west side. You could drive through. I mean, God, all the leaves change color. It's the same thing.
And it's not the same.
It's got to be the same.
No,
of course, I grew up near Mount Rainier and out in the woods.
It's not just leaves.
Oh, it's not?
History. It's all that, I mean,
what's the history?
Well, God, it's the oldest part of our nation.
But she's been there, hasn't she?
No, she's never been to Connecticut.
I thought you guys went there. You told me about this.
No, I never.
No. Where did you go? You went somewhere.
See, you were so as somebody.
Where did you go? Did you go to Washington D.C.? Did you go to Maryland? Where did you go?
Yeah, that's different. That's not the.
Well, that's
Northeast.
history.
That is history. We went to Washington D.C. We went to Virginia.
Yeah.
That's
not enough?
Pennsylvania.
What's the history in Connecticut? What am I missing out on? Tell me, please.
Just New England in general. I mean, when you go to Connecticut, you don't just go to Connecticut. They were just going to fly into
Connecticut.
Well, they were going to fly into Connecticut. But
you don't know.
No, there's it's the oldest part of our country.
You don't know. It's the oldest part of our country.
It is the oldest part of our country. It dates back to the 1600s.
Earlier when I was saying, all right, well, tell me what Trump said bad. You're like, I don't know. Said a bunch of stuff. Somebody sent me a link to an email or to a website. You're just throwing things out there.
You know why I don't know the history? Because I've never been there.
Well, you should go.
I know.
And watch the leaves turn
orange. I've been to Washington.
Orange.
The history is bunk on the West Coast because we were the last part that was.
Did she ask you to go on this and you told her no, and that's why she's going with her sister, or did she not even consider?
She did ask me. She was like, "How would you like to go?" I said, "No, I don't want to go. I don't want to spend that kind of money on a trip with the kids that they're going to hate and be miserable on."
Right.
You go and have fun. But anyway,
Good
she can't go because of
She's from California.
She's from California.
She's a dirty Californian.
We are the scourge of America.
We are, aren't we? It sucks because I'm not from here, damn it. And all of a sudden I got it. Now I go home, people are like, oh, he's from California. I go, no, I'm not. I'm from here. I like it down there.
Such a big place. This is such a big place. And for people
I know, we all get stereotyped in with the bad people from California.
I know.
We're actually good people here. We don't know. We don't know all about
It's
that.
like when somebody finds out you're from California, they're like, "Oh, did you survive the wildfires?" You're like, "That's a big place." I mean, I know 3 million acres is a lot.
5 hours away from us, but yeah, I think we made it.
Whoa! Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
Jeff and Jeremy here online, KZOZ.com. Today is National Voter Registration Day, and so we thought we'd bring in the man himself, our county clerk, Tommy Gong. Good to have you back on the show, Tommy. Good morning.
Oh, great. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking a few minutes with us. I know today's a very important day as we get the election coming up, and people need to get registered. Is the deadline today, or is just today the day we highlight it?
Oh, today's the day that we highlighted. Actually, it's highlighted nationwide, but the deadline is October 19th. So there's still plenty of time for voters to register to vote, and that's really the first step in terms of participating in the general election is to be registered to vote.
Now, I'm seeing things come in on the news, and you have the news on, and it's on in the background, and you pay a little bit of attention to it here and there. But are people voting, like showing up and voting in person already for the election that is taking place in November in certain parts of the country?
Yeah, so of course, my responsibility is for elections in California, but I'm seeing the same headlines, and each state has slightly different laws and how they might perform early voting, for example. For us in California, the focus was on last Friday, in that we get our ballots out to our military and overseas voters, so that they get their, so that they'll receive their ballots in time and be able to return them to us in time. But the next goal now will be for getting the majority of our vote by mail ballots out, and that's going to be early next week. But I do believe that in some jurisdictions, in other states, that they might be doing the early voting as we speak, and frankly, I don't even know how, because with all of the amount of ballot proofing that we're required to do to be sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, we have to have that time in order to get the ballots right.
Tommy Gong joining us from the SLO County Clerk's office. So let me ask you, because there's you watch the news, you read stuff online, and there's a lot of people that are stressed out about voting in this year's election. How confident and how safe do you feel the system is going into place here in 2020?
Oh, for us in California, I feel very confident that we're going to have a successful election. First off, in California, we've been doing vote by mail voting for just about 20 years, and we've been doing the permanent vote by mail voting. So our numbers have continued to increase. In the March election primary this year, we had 80% of our voters vote by mail. And that number is going to go up even more so, because we're going to send every voter a ballot in the mail starting next week. And I think we want voters to understand that we do think that is the safest option for them to vote that vote by mail ballot. I'm even putting an I voted sticker in each vote by mail packet to convince them that you don't have to drop off your ballot at a polling place to get your I voted sticker. We're going to include it.
As somebody who's done absentee ever since I've moved to the state of California, I've never had that be the added perk that I get along with it. And people, I feel like I've been judged against. Like, people are like, "Where's your I voted sticker?" I'm like,
exactly.
I did it a couple weeks ago, man.
Exactly.
And now I have something to prove it. I like it.
That's right. So, and we've been doing this process, again, for 20 years. We've been building the infrastructure to handling, vote by mail ballots and the process by doing it. I do think with other states, with the changes that they're implementing, and they could be drastic changes for them, that, it's a little bit more of a challenge for them in terms of getting the equipment and the staffing and the infrastructure in place. But in California, we've been doing it for quite a while, and we've been able to move along with the changes and the improvements to vote by mail voting.
So what are some important dates to remember as we get ready for the election that is going to be taking place in November? Like what are the days, the cutoff days, the days that we could start voting, all those dates?
Yes. So ballots are going to be in the mail early next week. Voters are going to get them probably midweek to late next week. Our offices will be open starting on October 5th. That's going to be both in San Luis Obispo and Atascadero, regular business hours at these locations. The deadline to register to vote is going to be October 19th. That's 15 days before the election. And then starting on October 31st, we're going to have 23 voter service centers open for 4 days of voting. So it's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and of course Tuesday on Election Day to help to serve voters. For one reason or another, they may still need to come to vote in person, or they didn't receive their ballot, or they lost their ballot. That's why these locations are set up for voters to do that. But we certainly encourage voters to mail in their ballot. Now, the deadline for mailing in their ballot is Election Day. It needs to be postmarked by November 3rd. So either they turn it in before or no later than. They can turn it into the mail. They can turn it into our 19 drop boxes that we're going to have throughout the county. All of this information in terms of the locations will be in the instructions that they receive along with their ballot, as well as on our website at slovote.com.
slowvote.com, slovote.com.
Slow vote.
And then if you have any questions about this conversation, if people came in late and they were like, oh man, I want to get registered, how do I do it? Can you go to slowvote.com to get registered?
Yes, you can do that. There's a link to the online registration process that the Secretary of State facilitates, and that makes it the easiest for voters to get registered.
So, Tommy, one last question I ask you, because we just kind of breezed over, is the 4 days of voting that will start on Halloween and go up. Do you think that is something that will be instituted moving forward in the future? I know this year it seems to be, for social distancing guidelines and things along those lines, but man, it makes it so convenient to be able to vote on a Saturday or Sunday.
Right, exactly. So, this model of the 4 days of voting follows a recent state law that allowed counties to operate in this model, kind of meaning that every voter would receive a ballot in the mail, and then that you would be open over a series of days instead of just election day. By doing so, you reduce the footprint of your polling places. So instead of neighborhood polling places, now you have larger voter service centers, of which a voter can go to any voting location to vote. They don't have to go to their assigned voting location. And so, of course, all these changes were instituted by the governor's executive order and the legislature following suit. But I do think that the legislature is going to be looking next year into ways to making it easier for counties to make this transition. We're already making the transition, and we're getting the equipment to do so. And so I really do see that as a strong possibility of what we're looking at for future elections.
Nice.
All right, Tommy. Well, hey, thanks again. Don't forget slowvote.com. Yeah, go ahead.
One last follow-up is I wanted to announce the Student Poll Worker Challenge that we're going to be implementing this election. So I wanted to do something to energize and to engage students, even though they might not be able to vote, that they're not 18 yet. And so we're implementing in conjunction with the County Board of Education, the Student Poll Worker Challenge, in which we're reaching out to each high school to engage their students to sign up as a potential poll worker during these 4 days of voting, because now I need more staffing. And so by doing so, what we're going to do is we're going to keep track of the number of students that sign up from each high school, and the high school with the most number of students on tap as poll workers, we're going to reward them with a trophy that will be for history. What I mean by that is, in 2020, the high school that won was this high school. In 2022, it was this high school. And so it'll be this rotating trophy that we'll be presenting, after the election, and engaging the students that, just because they aren't able to vote, that they can be part of the history that we're going to be involved with this election. And it'll be something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives and become lifetime voters.
I like that. It's very important. Like, I know, growing up, in our school athletics were really bad, so we never got trophies for anything. So we really rallied behind the food drive every year because it was the only competition we could win. I'm saying, like, things like this is perfect for that situation.
So sad. It's a sad story.
Really.
But
now there's no athletics.
Greater good, though.
Now there's no athletics, so this is the only thing that you can compete for. Yeah,
yes, they might compete.
This is better than winning a state championship in football this year, because this is the only prize you can get.
Well, that sounds good. And then slowvote.com, is that a good place to go for that too, Tommy?
Yes, we're going to start putting out that information. Yes, okay, and then so students will sign up through their high school teachers, and we'll start keeping tabs.
All right, very nice. We appreciate, like we said, a few minutes. I know you got a busy day today. Today is the day to get signed up to vote in the upcoming election if you haven't been. And other things to think about. If you've moved, you probably need to re-register, right? Other reasons you might need to re-register?
Exactly. We also have on our website a place to check their voter registration status, and so that's where they can check and be sure that we have their most recent residence address and or mailing address, if that's the case, to update us with if that's if the need arises.
All right, cool. Have a great day, Tommy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
There goes Tommy Gong, our clerk. And don't forget, slowvote.com. That's SLOVOTE.com, slowvote.com.
Wake up. Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
So yesterday we were talking about how people are feeling from working from home and how they don't take lunch breaks, they don't take time for themselves. They're chained to the computer. They feel guilty for not or for taking time for themselves. If they feel like if they're taking time for themselves, they're going to be judged by their work. It's interesting because I found another study that said that people start worrying about work on Sunday afternoon at about 4:00. That's about the time that they start feeling that work week anxiety creeping up. And 88% of respondents said that they feel that anxiety on Sunday afternoon regarding what will happen at work on Monday. But what I found was
maybe you need to find a new job.
What I found was interesting was the average person performs about 3 hours of unpaid work for their job over the weekend, such as checking emails, looking over presentations, making business calls. Now, we have a weird job where we're always on the clock to some extent. Like whatever we're doing, we always have something in the back of our mind, say, how do you incorporate it into the show? How do you incorporate it into the show? How do you incorporate it into the show? It's like a hamster on a treadmill working on the back of our brains. We always are, doing that. So, I mean, I think
that's because we don't show up and somebody tells us, gives us work to do. We have to come up. We have to create our work.
Yes.
So Jeff is a little bit different than I am. I don't walk around thinking about that, but I'll see something and then that'll instantly make me think like, oh my God, I have to talk about this on Monday. And, some stuff we talk about, some
like
stuff we don't, but it always happens.
When my son yells at my daughter about preferring TV shows over movies, doesn't have the attention span for the movie, doesn't want the movie, just like Jeremy does not have the attention span for the movie. He only wants to know about.
Sometimes I do. It's the mood I'm in.
Your favorite TV show.
I like TV shows and I like movies, but sometimes I'm in the mood for a series.
Would you ever go watch a 20-hour movie?
What drives me nuts? No, I would not. But what drives me nuts is a lot of times I'm looking for a movie and then I'm on Netflix or Amazon and it's series and you look, ooh, that looks good, and then it's series 3. It's the 3rd season. I'm like, no, I'm not investing. I just want to kill 2 hours. I don't need to invest, make a commitment to watch a whole new series. You know what I mean? And when you flip through Netflix, it happens all the time that way.
Don't you feel like movies are not as cool as TV shows now, or series, I guess, for lack of a better term?
TV series are way better. Yeah, we've talked about that. I mean, the work they're putting into TV.
But
or these streaming series, whatever.
You're just a soap opera fan at that point, though, because movies have to tell that story in 90 minutes to 2 hours that series told in, probably 80, 90, 100 hours when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
if it's a successful series. Would you sit in the movie for 3 days?
But there's just not that many good movies anymore. I feel like.
But I think it's more of an art to put together a good movie, tell the complete story, and have it be entertaining.
I don't disagree. I just think that it's just few and far between now. It's hard. A lot of the movies I don't care about.
I know, and I feel like we've all gone that way. We're more into the series now because it gives you more bang for your buck. They're done just as well as movies now, if not better in many instances. And where does that leave movies? Movies are the last outpost for action. I mean, you take a look at movies. That's all movies are about, is just action. The movies that do well are action movies. Transformer movie hits the theaters. It does well. Marvel superheroes movie hits the theaters. It does well. Star Wars hits the movie theaters. It does well. It's all action. You gonna go see a comedy? Comedy movies are done. Like how has a comedy movie survived? Because now people are like, well, let's turn this comedy into a series and give it more legs. We can do that. We have the creative freedom to do that. Let's make more funny, not just crank out funny that is, packaged up in 90 minutes and has got Kevin Hart in it and, some actress, and then get dates to go to it, because dates don't go to the movies anymore, and they won't after the pandemic's over.
It's tough to find a good drama. It feels like it's all like very high action, almost sci-fi or superhero-esque. Then, and the comedies are cheap, and it's just, that's why I used to like rom-coms. Is that what they call them? Mm-hmm. Romantic comedies?
I think they're done.
I think they were better written than a lot of other movies. But yeah, it's hard to find that now. And maybe it's that they don't have the time, the budget. I don't know. But so, yeah, I've been turning to a lot of TV, and there's so much good TV now. We were asking yesterday, about what TV show you're watching right now, and I Shameless. You probably never seen Shameless. It's a pretty It's raunchy is a tough word, but it can be very raunchy. But it's really well written, and it's a great show. Great acting in it. You've heard about it though, because Mr. Skin talks about all the nudity in it.
That's
Ozark,
why you watch it.
Yellowstone.
That's what brought you there.
What's that?
The nudity.
No, I don't know what brought me there. I mean, I've been watching this from the beginning. I mean, it's over now. Yes, there's there's so many. You just have to dig and find these shows, but sometimes you have to wait through a lot of bad ones to find the good ones, and that's what's what's hard to kind of swallow.
That's the best thing about the Gilmore Girls. You don't have to wait for any bad episodes. They're all good. Every single one of them.
I can't look at you when you.
I'm going to go back and watch it when I'm done. I'm only on like season 4 right now. I don't feel this sense of urgency. That's what I like about Gilmore Girls. I could pick up where I left off. I could even skip some episodes and still know what's going on. And it's just, that's what it is. It's just like, oh, you're not on the edge of your seat. There's not a lot of anxiety that is associated with it, like there is with like an Ozark or a Yellowstone.
The problem with those shows are, as soon as it's over, I mean, you can't wait to watch the next season. I mean, I'll sit there and I'll be up until 1:00 in the morning. I never stay up late past 10, and I'm up till like Friday night. I was up till midnight. I was supposed to get up at 4:30 to go fishing with my buddy, and I sat and I did, and I was exhausted. But it's just so well done. Another good show is Billions. Billions has got Paul Giamatti. And it's also got that guy from that show you like to watch, Homeland, the first season, with
Brody?
the red hair, Brody. Yeah, Brody. Brody's in it. These two go after each other. They're really good. It's a hedge fund guy and an attorney general who's trying to bring him down for being shady, and it's very good, very good. But yeah. Anyways, if you're looking
watch a
for
lot
something,
of alpha male television shows.
Is that what I did?
Billions and Yellowstone.
Ozark. Ozark's different, though.
No, Jason Bateman's not really. He just stumbles into it, right?
It's completely the opposite. He finds himself, he's a nice guy, and he finds himself into this situation, and he's just trying to, get out of it.
What's the other one that you always taught? Oh, you got to see Ray Donovan.
Oh my God, Ray Donovan is awesome. Ray Donovan is really good too.
Ray Donovan. It's almost like you drop a register when you're telling people to watch the TV shows.
Yeah, but I also like Stranger Things. I mean, there's just so much good TV out there right now. We were asking yesterday. There's
Do you
a great
watch
list
anything dorky
on our Facebook page.
Do you watch anything dorky?
The Office, Parks and Rec. Yeah, I dork out.
That's not dorky. That's
dorky.
Those are well-written comedies.
Yeah, but they're dorky too. So come on, Jim and Pam, they're very dorky.
Yes, they are.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.